This edition of MacVoices could have been sponsored by you. MacVoices is always looking for sponsors who appreciate our high-signal, low-noise approach to tech topics with an Apple focus. Our sponsorship packages feature inclusion in all of the audio and video versions of MacVoices at all of their distribution points, a web presence, inclusion in the MacVoices Dispatch, our weekly newsletter, and more. Get the details by contacting me at chuck@macvoices.com or contact Backbeat Media at backbeatmedia.com. MacVoices is in San Francisco for WWDC and the AltConference. We're at Jillian's in Alt Labs talking to Ash Furrow, an author of books for developers. Ash, it's great to have you. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me on.
So, books for developers, that's kind of intriguing because that's got to be an intense kind of writing, but you don't have a huge audience.
Yes.
So does this mean it's kind of a labor of love to some degree?
Yes. So I started out with writing books with publishers on iOS development and UI collection views, things like that. And I switched over to self-publishing because I just wanted to get rid of the things I didn't like about that experience and really do it just because I enjoyed it. And like my books are just ebooks online, so it's really fun to write. Takes some work, but I really enjoy it.
So is it more just a matter of like getting stuff out of your head and documenting for yourself as much as everybody else?
Yes. For me, writing the books is a huge learning experience as well. So I wrote a book on Reactive Cocoa most recently, and I've been sort of touring around with that. I just gave a talk at AltConf here, and it's just I learned so much while writing that book that I really enjoy it. Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
So that is not something I think that can probably sustain you. So what's your day job?
So my day job is I work at Artsy, based in New York. I work on the iOS team there, and we build two different applications. One of them is for art galleries, the other one is for art lovers. So you can find them on the App Store if you search for Artsy. And it's a fantastic job. I do some open source contributions to the company, so that's always fun. And we're always on like the cutting edge of technology. It's really fun.
Now, forgive me because I'm not familiar with the Artsy app. So when you say it gives access to your galleries and all, can you profile that a little more for us?
Sure. So the application offers basically we want to be the Pandora of the art world. So based on the artworks that you've recommended or that you've said that you like in the past, we'll recommend new artworks for you based on our Art Genome project, where we have quite a large staff of art experts going through and profiling all these different artworks from art galleries and making it really easier for you to find something that you'll really like.
So am I then going to the galleries just to see them, or am I able to buy them?
Some of them you're able to buy. We've got art fairs, so if you go to an art fair, you can actually look at the different artists that we'll recommend to you, and if there's an artist that you've said you explicitly like, we'll point you in their direction. It's really a pretty comprehensive app. Basically, we just want to make art available to anyone with an internet connection.
That's got to be quite a challenge, keeping up with the inventory as the sales as it comes and it goes. Mm-hmm. Then I'm sure there has to be a graphic element to taking quality photographs of the art.
Absolutely.
So that someone can even start to appreciate a little bit of it on the phone or the iPad.
That's right.
So, a lot of moving parts there.
Sorry?
A lot of moving parts.
Yes. Yeah, it's a very large project.
Yeah, that's good. What kind of pricing is there for that?
So the applications are free. It's free for art lovers. The galleries pay a subscription to be on Artsy, and that's how we make money, which is really nice because I've worked at some startups before where we'll monetize later, and I really love working at a company where we have a very clear business plan, and I know exactly how the company works. It's nice, refreshing.
What was your presentation here at AltConf? What did you give the presentation on?
I gave a presentation on Reactive Cocoa, just the fundamentals and the philosophy behind it, because I think it's really easy to dive into like hello world examples of Reactive Cocoa code and not really understand the motivation behind why you're writing code that looks so different. So I gave the why you want to explore Reactive Cocoa talk, and it's available up on YouTube already, so you can go check it out.
As someone who has written books on iOS programming, what's your reaction to Swift?
Oh, I love it. Yeah. No,
Oh
Swift,
boy, I got a real big positive grin there. That's good.
Yeah, I wrote an article a few months ago saying that we need to replace Objective-C because it's an old language. It's based in C. It's unsafe. It's unfamiliar for newcomers. It's very hard to teach. There are just a plethora of reasons why we should move away from Objective-C as a community. So I was very surprised, very excited to see Swift announced on Monday. I'm already planning to write a book on that. So if you want, you can go to leanpub.com/Swift_book and check out what my plans are and sign up to get notifications when that's published. It's going to be great. I'm digging into Apple's references already and playing around with it, filing radars for bugs I find. Apple's it's very cool. It's been closed so far, but now that Swift is out in the open, they're encouraging developers to play around with it, file radars if you want to see something changed, because it's still very much up in the air. They aren't even guaranteeing source compatibility, so developer preview 2 of Xcode could completely change the language, and I think that's just fantastic that they're so receptive to what we're asking.
That's phenomenal. That's great. It's so good because you know how it is. You go to social media after any of these announcements, and the reactions are all over the place.
Yeah.
And there were a couple I saw that they said that they felt Apple was a little arrogant in releasing an operating system, or excuse me, a language. And it's like, well, okay, I'm not sure I understand that, but I'm not a coder either. So, I get that this will be somewhat under Apple's control, but on the other hand, it looks like they've opened it up pretty easily for everybody to use.
Yeah.
So I don't get it.
Yeah, I think the aversion to Swift is just in terms of people being maybe a little afraid of what's unfamiliar, and certainly being put back at square zero for all of your technical abilities is certainly daunting. No one wants to be a beginner again because it's very frightening. But I'm looking at this as an opportunity to do some really cool things and explore new technologies. We're going to be able to write safer code. That means apps that crash less frequently, apps that we can develop faster, just because of the overhead and boilerplate that isn't there in the new language. I think it's a net win.
That's great. That's great. For the folks who want to find out more about you, your books, everything, the best website is?
AshFurrow.com, or you can follow me on Twitter at Ash Furrow.
Great. Ash, great to see you. Thanks so much for the time.
Thanks for having me on.
Folks, we'll have more from WWDC and the AltConference in San Francisco. I'm Chuck Joyner, and this is MacVoices. Visit MacVoices.com for links, show notes, to subscribe, to connect with Chuck on Twitter, app.net, Google+, Facebook, and LinkedIn. Subscribe to our weekly newsletter, the MacVoices Dispatch, to stay up to date with all the latest MacVoices news from our front page or at macvoices.com/newsletter. Advertising and sponsorships handled by Backbeat Media at backbeatmedia.com.